Where the hell's Kevin? It was supposed to start 10 minutes ago. What's going on here?
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
You know we can't do the review like this, right? Because we'll have Homeland Security up our ass. Hey everybody, welcome to Twin Talk, a video discussion show where twin brothers Chris and Kevin drink and draw while talking about comic books, movies, and all things pop culture. We are your hosts, Chris Hart,
Kevin Hart,
and today we are talking about The Batman.
Stick around to the end of the episode to see how our drawing of The Batman came out, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content. Just a heads up, this video contains major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, watch it, and then come back to this video.
The Batman is directed by Matt Reeves and stars Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, and Paul Dano. I needed this movie to be excellent in order to justify the loss of Batfleck. I was super inspired by the DC Fandom trailer that came out almost 2 years ago with that Nirvana music in it. I loved it. Everybody was hyped for this movie. I heard that Matt Reeves' vision was more along the lines of The Long Halloween and Batman Ego and Batman Year One and all these cool source material. I was very excited to see what he's going to do with the franchise.
I can't believe it's here.
Pretty wild.
After
it was supposed to be out last year.
All this waiting between the pandemic and everything, it's here. Unfortunately, my overall thoughts, I'm mixed upon the first watch. I liked it. I wanted to love it. I didn't love it. Maybe on a second viewing, I'll completely be blown away by it. But overall, I think it's a little bit long.
Definitely.
I think the tone is great, but there should have been a little bit more beats to make it everything felt very slow. And Batman, that's fine for him, but everyone was slow.
Yeah.
And that kind of, some parts, the pacing was off and it dragged a little bit for me. I didn't love it, but I did like it.
I did like it. I thought it felt very much like a HBO Max series.
Yeah.
I think this would be beneficial as a binge it as you please HBO Max miniseries.
Well, they have
the
Gotham Central or GCPD
and a Penguin show.
So it's obviously building this world, and I liked it. I didn't mind it because it was the year two. He's definitely early on in his career. It reminded me a lot of obviously year one. A lot of influence between year one, Batman Earth One, Long Halloween, Hush. There was so much that was packed in here that fans could pick and choose and be like, oh yeah, I could see that it's definitely close enough to the source material.
The two pluses I will say when I came out of it, it felt like I love the movie Blade Runner 2049. And that was a 3-hour movie, I believe, too. And it was very, just immersive. You're in the world. Not a lot's going on. And you're just kind of with this one or two characters.
Very atmospheric.
Going through it. And you're just living in this film. And I felt very similar. It felt like Blade Runner 2049, but with Batman.
The theater experience, too, it was packed. Not a lot of clapping. There was a few people that would try and get it going, and it would be awkward. So I was a little bit let down by that. Especially
it was also very hard. We went to an IMAX.
Just
premiere.
came off of Spider-Man, and that was an amusement ride.
A roller coaster.
And the volume was off at our
IMAX theater, and we could barely hear it. I don't know if that was the sound design for the film itself. I'm gonna go see this thing again tomorrow and Sunday, so I'll find out if the sound mix is meant to be that low.
I need a second viewing,
or if they just cheesed us with this audio.
No, because that trailer on my iPhone, you could hear the it sounds like bloody carnage. It was I had to bring my ear to it. The one thing I did like was that
you're right next to the speaker.
The rain. So atmospheric. I was immersed in Gotham City, and I loved the vibe that it was giving me.
Gotham is definitely a character in this film. This is what I want my Gotham to feel like. I love the Nolan films, but after Batman Begins, it got too real world for me, especially in Dark Knight Rises. Tim Burton's movies are very cartoony. I don't think it would hold up if you did Gotham like that these days. It just felt very real to me, and I loved Gotham. I loved the aesthetic. Again, it felt like Blade Runner 2049, even visually with Gotham.
Robert Pattinson is the Batman. Bruce Wayne, not so much Bruce Wayne, but the Batman I really, really enjoyed.
He played Batman this entire film.
Yeah, there was very little Bruce Wayne, and even when there was no different persona. You could tell that, but I think that was the point.
That was the point of
this Batman. It was definitely unique, its own thing. It's not like any other Batman we've seen. My one complaint is that the cowl, I needed to be different. I thought we were going to there was rumors of an upgraded
second suit. Yeah.
We didn't get it. I like the whole DIY homemade suit. It's just very awkward looking to me, and I like that, but I don't like that at the same time.
Yeah.
He needs to bulk up, though.
Absolutely.
Especially if we're getting rid of Affleck for this, the warehouse scene. Unfortunately, we'll never see
that
BVS
level of action,
warehouse fight scene where the Batman can hold up with members like the Justice League. This Batman, even Bale's Batman, they just can't hold up in that dynamic of a world.
In a super being universe, yeah. A lot of people defend it, like, oh, he's training to be leaner and faster and more athletic. Did you see how fast Ben Affleck's Batman was in the warehouse scene?
Yeah.
Like, he was beefy and fast. Like, you can be both. It is possible, especially if we're going to buy into this character of Batman who's trained his body to perfection and traveled all over the globe to, like, master all these skills. Of course he would be big and fast. So I don't buy into that. I really just think Robert Pattinson got lazy on us and didn't want to bulk up.
He needs to put in the work, for the next movie, definitely.
But I do think his portrayal of Batman/Bruce Wayne, like you said, there's not much Bruce Wayne in this because he is going for that traumatized Bruce, and he just wants to be Batman. We heard Matt Reeves talking about it. He's just addicted to being Batman.
He's reclusive.
Even when he's Bruce Wayne, he wants to be back in the cowl fighting crime. And that's kind of like the character arc in this film as he grows throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. He wants to just go let out his trauma and his anger. But we see throughout the film he becomes the Batman that the city needs, which I liked that evolution.
Because, me too, yeah.
He was very flatline for most of the movie. I think that's a fault only because he's in so much of the movie. If you spread out his scenes as Batman more, I don't think it starts to get as dreary, because he was very dreary and very flatline.
Even before I watched the movie, I listened to the full soundtrack. It was released, and you could just tell that a lot of the movie, especially at 3-hour runtime, the scenes were going to be not dragged out, but very in depth. We're gonna be in it for a little bit,
which I like.
I like it, yeah, because a lot of the shots, the cinematography, A1 steak sauce, dude.
It's a good looking
beautiful movie. The sound design, everything is great. Just with Batman and Bruce Wayne, like you said, even in the scenes that he was Bruce Wayne, he was doing the same slow movements. I don't even think he was even trying to hide it with the voice when he was at the funeral. I was like, they're gonna know it's him. I was like, come on.
I think that's also the point too, is that now that he's had this character arc, he realizes that in order to be a better Batman, he has to be a better Bruce Wayne, mm-hmm. right? So he needs to put on that billionaire playboy, persona to better his missions as Batman, because he can use that to his advantage, like we saw in Batman vs Superman with Bruce acting drunk and stuff to do all those different
mm-hmm.
things on his missions. So I think that we're going to see Pattinson. I think we're going to see him develop more and evolve more as Bruce Wayne.
Warner Brothers, they got me hyped on the trailers. They show way too much. Too much in the trailers. Same thing with BVS, where they showed Wonder Woman, they showed Doomsday. They showed every action sequence, and there was very little action sequences. It was a lot of story, and so I didn't appreciate that they showed the big moments in the trailer, and it left those moments where we should be clapping and cheering. We already saw it. So I think that's why also the audience kind of wasn't having that reaction in that moment.
There is good action in it. There's not enough of it. I feel like this movie could have benefited from one or two more small action scenes, especially with the pacing and the tone being such a long crime noir. It's going for that crime noir, but it's not a good enough crime noir to merit this little action. So I think that it would have benefited from more action. But we get everything that we've come to know and love in Batman films in this. We got the suit, the gadgets, the vehicles, the girls, the violence.
It's like James Bond.
Batman movies, I've always compared them to James Bond. You expect a lot from these movies. And we get
there's a checklist that it needs to hit.
We get detective scenes of him with Gordon. That's a check. We get the Batmobile check, the suit, the gadgets check. There's always the villains check. There's always something to love. Yeah.
That was a scene where people were actually vibing when the Batmobile was like.
I wish it was louder.
I wish it was louder, and it was when the thing was like. I was like, oh snap! He's got the Camaro with the bat symbol.
I thought it was hilarious too that it all built up just for him to
he stalled out.
Stall out. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that I like about this Batman is that it reminds me of Jeff Johns' Batman Earth 1, where I could have swore when I read Volume 2, the first few pages, I was like, oh, this is a misprint. It looks exactly the same as Volume 1.
Yeah.
Volume 1 started off, it shows him with the bat grapple or whatever. It backfires on him. The thing coils up. He goes to jump off the ledge. He misses and is holding onto the ladder by one hand. And then it was the same shot for shot in the first few pages, the first few panels of Volume 2. Batman does the same thing. The bat gun goes, but this time it works. And then he jumps and he lands, and now he's a presence. So that's what I'm hoping that they evolve into in a sequel / trilogy and all these spin-offs. I want to see this Batman become a bigger presence, literally figure, in his figure, become more dominant.
Literally,
because he was getting dragged by his cape. He did the Incredibles thing. I was like, no capes, no capes. I was like, this dude is 80 pounds wet, and I was like, he just needed to be a bigger presence. Because even Riddler says that he's all brained. I don't have what you have. I was like, I think you're bigger than him, dude. You're a little bit brawnier than this
Paul
guy.
Dano's cheeks are bigger than or wider than Pattinson's shoulders.
Exactly.
We grew accustomed to the Batman super heroics, right? Him fighting with the Justice League and all these aliens and stuff. I love that. I also like to see my gritty violence too, like
Yeah, me too.
because Batman, like I do love when he's just like a crime noir detective that's just fighting. He's just a dude in a suit fighting
Yes.
people. So when he was getting dragged by the cape, I was like, that's pretty cool. It's just a guy in a cape, you know, like going
It's
at
very real world.
Yeah, and I appreciate that stuff. But I do want to see him evolve, like you said, and grow into more of a Batfleck, like older, veteran, seasoned Batman that hopefully has a better suit in the movies to come. Because I liked the suit, I didn't love it, you know. So I do want to see a second suit in the next film.
How awkward it does look with the stitching and like the scrape in the eye and
I
everything.
love the scrape in the eye, though. Yeah,
The horns, everything is like very, very DIY, very in my garage. I made this thing.
yeah. If you had billions of dollars,
And that's what I'm saying is like with that much money, it could have been a little bit better. Like we devolved in our bat suits. But that scene when all you hear is the steps with that like gang in the subway and he comes out and it's just this dude in a suit. I was like, nailed it. Batman is just as crazy as the villains he's fighting, but thankfully he's a vigilante on the right
He's on
side.
the good side. Yeah. That opening. I loved the first 10 minutes of this film, where it showed him talking to himself. Very Rorschach, very Watchmen.
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
Okay. I was like, so this Bruce Wayne definitely read Watchmen as a kid and became Batman. He's like doing Rorschach's journal, October 31st.
He's documenting his journey.
The
Yeah.
Gotham Project. I thought that was cool. He's trying to grow and be better.
For what he did lack in strength, I felt like he was very resourceful with the limited tools and gadgets that he did have in his like hidden in his suit.
Moving on to Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz. She is so hot. I also thought she almost stole the film. She was so excellent in this film. I really enjoyed the look of her with like that makeshift like beanie or the mask she has where she like cuts it and looks like cat eyes and stuff. I really appreciated like how seedy she was, like playing different people and also like doing that whole thing where she's got a thing for strays, helping this girl Annika out at the club and stuff. Very reminiscent of Batman Year One and Long Halloween. I appreciated what they did with her as a character.
The apartment she was in like was ripped straight from the
From
comic
the book,
book.
yeah.
I was like, man, and even her look, I was like, wow, she looks a lot like Batman Year One's Catwoman, Selena Kyle.
I think Michelle Pfeiffer is the best still, but I really appreciate this Batman and Catwoman relationship. Probably the strongest part of the movie for me, honestly.
They walk away, they become the
I hate
Fast
it.
and Furious ending.
I hated when they drove away from each other. I was like,
time without you, my
I was like, damn, I just want them to work together. Obviously, she's going to come back in
yeah,
future
100%.
movies.
His allegiances to Gotham, you know, like not his relationship.
I
And
love the use of the bat signal
nailed
in
it.
this movie, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
the bat signal could be such a corny thing, especially in like a tech world where, like, okay, I'm sure there's a better way to contact Batman, but
Seriously.
I love the bat signal and how they still use it, and they used it a lot in this movie, and I loved that.
Well, when your city's constantly covered in clouds,
Yeah,
like,
fog.
it'll work. Yeah. You said Zoe Kravitz almost stole the show. I personally thought that Colin Farrell's the Penguin almost stole it. He was in very little scenes, but
Yeah.
he was the comedic relief, and he had the audience laughing.
He was in more of it than everybody said. Oh, he's only in a few scenes. He was in more of it than I expected.
I thought he was in more than the Riddler too.
Yeah,
halfway
that's what
through
I'm
the
saying.
movie, I was like,
Where
who's
was the
villain? I was
Riddler?
like, where's the Riddler? Who's the main villain here? Like, obviously, he's gonna become the Penguin we know and love. I just love that we got.
Well, at least they call him the Penguin.
They call him the Penguin. Yeah, he was even walling too. I love that.
The
They had
umbrella.
some
Yeah, the umbrella.
purple in his suit. I want to see a little bit more Umbrella. I do.
Yeah, I want to see more cigars. Maybe him eating some fish.
Yeah,
and
it felt more like the Arkham video games.
Yes, yeah.
Penguin.
Which, by the way, this cannot go understated. They are winning the Oscar for this for the special effects and makeup on him. He is unrecognizable. I loved, like you said, the Iceberg Lounge and even the lower deck, the 44 below. Very seedy underworld. All the politicians obviously go there in Gotham and do their thing. Moving on to the Riddler, like you said before, near the third act, around 4 hours and 15 minutes in the movie, I was like, where the hell is the Riddler? And especially since they marketed it and like had all these awesome trailers of like his voiceovers, like, if you were justice and all these different things and all the riddles and stuff. I was like, I wanted more of him because when he was on screen, Paul Dano crushes it, especially in the opening scene where he's behind the politician.
Terrifying.
Scary.
Even the way he because he's such a non-intimidating presence outside the get-up.
Suit. Yeah.
Like the suit, he's like, oh man, I do not want to be in the same room as this guy.
Yeah.
He's like even yelling at the person like it's my turn. Like I was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
and then when they catch him in the diner scene, it's just like
I just ordered pumpkin pie. You want some?
I was like, oh my goodness, that was actually hilarious to me.
Lactose free.
Yeah, but he was great. His voice, the way he had the mask and everything. I think it was a very smart choice to make the Riddler
A terrorist.
a terrorist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like a mind terrorist that it again is like Batman Earth 1 where you have to answer these 3 riddles and you'll be able to be free. It's almost like that movie Saw where it's like he's playing with these people's lives.
Yeah,
it's like a game to him.
That's exactly what it was when he had
So
like
I
that neck brace
I
around
like
the
that
DA.
a lot. Yeah.
Peter Sarsgaard, right? Mm-hmm. Came out of nowhere. Everybody was laughing when he came on screen. I was like, but his death was one of the worst because like he had to answer those 3 riddles in like 30 seconds or whatever, and you just feel like that ticking time bomb. It's very like they said, a lot of inspiration from Seven and Zodiac. I thought him with the gimp mask and like yeah, that's pretty much what it was. His whole look was very scary for a real world Riddler. Like you said, like a terrorist. That guy could pop up tomorrow, honestly, and that's the scariest part about it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, he had followers.
Yeah.
And like
he's on Discord. They're like, yeah, rifles are cool.
yeah,
What
we
do you
got
need
your
to bring-
back, bro. It said on there, like his Twitch stream. He was like, okay, for level 4 patrons, tomorrow we're taking down the Gotham Square Garden.
We're just gonna storm the White House.
Yeah, level 5 patrons, they get free C4 with the purchase of.
Yeah, seriously.
But speaking of that, I thought it was a smart move. I'm a sucker for henchmen, so I
Yeah.
loved in the trailer when they showed the henchmen. We did the reaction for that. But in the movie, I thought it was a smart choice for him to have henchmen because he was arrested, very similar to The Dark Knight with the interrogation room. Obviously, nothing's going to live up to that, but I thought it was good because once the Riddler's arrested, and obviously there's no physical threat there, so it's cool to see like a bunch of followers of like crazy followers of him
joining his
his plan, his
yeah.
ideals, right? And we saw that it kind of backfired on Batman because he's kind of the villain too, right? His whole family's legacy of the what was the plan they had?
The renewal.
The renewal plan, yeah, like that ended up funding the gangs and the terrorists, and then the terrorists, they said, "I am vengeance." They were obviously inspired by Batman, so he
Yes.
realized that what he was trying to accomplish as Batman didn't go the way he planned on it or the way he intended. So it was
inspired the wrong change.
yeah, so it's cool to see his character arc throughout all these different things that maybe he even had a hand in. So I appreciated that story aspect of everything with him and Riddler.
It reminds me also too of like at the end of Batman Begins when we got so hyped about the Joker card. It's like, oh, you've inspired people to do good, but you've also inspired them to do wrong. You know, like
Yeah.
now that you're out there and you're getting away with it, honestly, like
Yes.
like you got these people that are going to become, you know, like they're going to match you. And I thought that was very interesting that he was almost like he thought that Batman was on his side. Like, oh, look what we've done. Look what we, you know.
Yeah. Well,
like,
he kind of conned Batman into making his own mistakes sometimes.
yeah, like he was almost like
He
manipulating
used
him.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, Riddler kind of challenges Bruce Wayne and Batman in general, which, by the way, we completely forgot to mention. Does he know who he is?
Yeah.
Like, that was the whole thing.
I
is,
think
like,
he does.
Does he? Doesn't he? There was a lot of hinting towards it. Maybe it was just a directional choice to have the audience be like, oh my God, he knows. But then halfway through, it's like, there's another directional choice where it's like, oh, doesn't he? Like, or is it their little secret? There's a lot of ways that could be interpreted. But I did like that he was challenging the Wayne legacy and how Batman, as a character, like you said, like he was like, oh, what does an orphanage mean? Like Bruce Wayne was never understood what that meant. He's like, it's all these people in a room. You're at the top of this tower. This little
Looking
rich
down.
boy looking
Yeah.
down on us. And so by the end, Batman cuts himself off the wire and goes down with the people. I thought that was pretty metaphorical and like very symbolic of, okay, this is what his character is doing. He knows that he's got to be better than what's been done in the legacy.
What he thinks is the best.
What he thinks is the best.
Let's talk about the side characters, the supporting cast, if you will. Let's start off with Commissioner Gordon. What'd you think of him?
I thought Jeffrey Wright was a great choice, but their relationship, as strong as it was, it's not my favorite. I really like Christian Bale and Gary Oldman. That was like
Definitely,
the best.
top-notch
Yeah.
Bruce and Gordon. I love that Gordon's bringing him on to crime scenes and
scenes,
stuff.
yeah.
All these different cops. Like we haven't really seen that before. We see Batman briefly at crime scenes, but this is full-fledged. Gordon's like, he's with me. He's bringing him into all these different crime scenes that he really shouldn't be at. But it's just
He's got
cool.
gloves, though. He's got gloves.
It's just cool that how they work together. I love their dynamic as characters.
It was cool how he was walking in the crime scene, and the same thing from the trailer when they're all the other cops are looking at him and like, this dude's crazy. Like he said, he doesn't belong here.
John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. I did not like what I heard about that as far as casting when he first came out, because this is the guy that we saw his bare ass in Transformers 2. So it's like, and,
He's in Mr. Deeds. He's
yeah,
like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like the waiter. Yes, senor. Whatever. What is it called?
Sneaky.
You're very, very sneaky, senor. Which, by the way, he's basically like, that's a subplot of the movie too. Mr. Deeds, Adam Sandler becomes Batman in that movie. He's like, he's just hitting people, and he becomes a vigilante. He's hitting people with garbage cans in the streets.
Don't worry, I'll get him.
Stop! Stop right there!
But he was great as this mob boss. It felt like very Godfather, very Sopranos, right?
He was surprisingly scary.
Yeah, it was like, okay, he's pretty good, like as far as like a crime lord goes. And I liked that they went the route with him being Selena's father because they hinted that in the Long Halloween. And I love that she even scratched his face up at the end.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. That one shot in the fisheye contact lens, which I thought was genius, by the way, Batman documenting everything. There's that shot in the bottom club when he's just like in the shadows. He's like, "Hello, Selena," or whatever. Like he looked so freaking intimidating for such a skinny old guy. I was like, all right, John Turturro, all right,
crushed it. Not so much crushing it. Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Very weak.
Very weak. Pretty useless as far as Alfreds go, and especially since Alfred knows like there's a serial killer on the loose, sending these these riddles to the elite, and it says for the Batman. He's like, oh, let me open it. Oh, the bomb. It's like, come on, dude. Although it was a nice emotional beat because when it did blow up, I was like, oh no, like Alfred. Yeah. But I just thought the common sense there, right? Don't you expect more from Alfred, especially since he's like
a combat veteran,
secret soldier from Britain and stuff, a doctor and all this stuff. So that just bugged me, and he wasn't in the movie a lot, so I can't really judge his performance. But from what they did give us, I wasn't loving it. Dun, 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 dun,
the score. Michael Giacchino crushes this.
It's such a like repetitive thing too, right?
It is, yeah.
And it's just.
But it works every time.
You just like, you like flexing the whole movie. You're like,
I just wish there was that snippet that was released of Ave Maria with like the epic,
so epic.
Like wasn't even in the movie. I was like, I was like, really? I was like, that was so epic. How is that not in the climax? Especially when Gotham's blowing up. I was waiting for that big moment with that epic score of Batman. Like, I hate to compare this movie to all the other stuff because there's so many Batmans. Like everything is good in its own way, but.
Yes.
At the end of Batman Begins, when he's like, "Oh, there's no one left to save you," and Gotham's tearing itself to pieces, and the Batmobile goes up, and it's just him. They're like, "Go save the city." I wanted to feel that, but I just didn't, and that's why I was left wanting more.
Let's talk about the plot and the murder mystery because since that first trailer, I was so excited seeing the Riddler handing out riddles. Right, I loved it as a kid when I saw Jim Carrey giving like those riddles and stuff, those quirky like letters and stuff. It's just cool, and I was so happy to see the Riddler get. His respect. As far as the murder mystery go, I thought the first hour of it was excellent, and then it lost me a little bit in the second act, especially since they go on like this whole weird thing with the Waynes, which is one of my negatives. They've been on this campaign of trashing the Waynes for the last 10 years in comics and movies, and I hate it. Because then it like undermines Batman's origin. It's like, okay, like what is he fighting for? Is he a vigilante because he lost his parents? And like, that senseless act of taking down these good citizens of a crimey city. No, like now it just puts them with
their hands are dirty.
Yeah, it just puts them with the seedy underworld, and it's like, okay, so Batman's just a crazy guy. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, and that's where the movie lost me because like there's one scene where Falcone tells Bruce, "This is what happened with your parents," and he's like, "No," and he goes back to Alfred. He's like, "Alfred, is this true?" And Alfred's like, "No, that didn't happen like that." But then they might have been killed by the Maronis, and then he's like, "Is it true?" He's like, "I don't know. They could have been killed by the Maronis.
Could have been someone random.
A thug." It's like, what? It just lost me there, and like that whole sequence needed to be rewritten.
I was actually really hoping for the Court of Owls to make an appearance.
If you're gonna do the Waynes like that, Court of Owls is the way.
Exactly. Have this like seedy underworld thing, moving the chess pieces of like the politicians and all that. That would have been sick, especially since they were doing this whole like El Rata, like the rat with wings. We didn't know what it was. Was it a pigeon? Was it a falcon? Was it a bat? Was it this, that? I was like, is it an owl? Like, are we gonna get an owl? Because even on the card, that Riddler first leaves, it has an owl on it. And I was like, oh, genius if they build this up to be the villain of this trilogy because something we haven't seen before.
It could be.
They still could be, but like it's just something that we haven't seen before. I would love to see Batman. If we're not going to see him against Deathstroke, have him go toe-to-toe with Talon. That'd be so sick.
Yeah. I think this is a movie that I'm going to like more and more
the more you
as I watch it. And I'm excited for the future of it. What do you think the future of this is going to be?
Well, I love that they set up No Man's Land, basically, with how Gotham's... I can't believe they did it, actually.
Ripe for the taking.
Yeah, like, they're going to get all these different territories, and there's a cameo of Joker.
Oh, yeah.
It is rumored that Barry Keoghan, we just saw him in Eternals. We saw him in The Green Knight. There was that rumor floating around. I was like, oh, I could see it, because he was very, sadistic in The Green Knight, and kind of like, also kind of like... a weird vibe in the Eternals. So I was like, I could see it. He's short. It'd be cool if he was like this presence to this Batman because this Batman ain't taking anyone down. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. We didn't get a good look at him in the makeup or anything. And even his laugh, I was a little underwhelmed.
It was very CW.
They're almost forced. Yeah. I was like, especially Especially because this Batman, he's so young. We could have had Joaquin Phoenix be now the Clown Prince of Crime. He's in
I
Arkham.
wanted that so
For
bad.
God's sakes, he's in
Yeah.
Arkham. Like, he could have been trapped and like, oh, even the line is everyone loves a good comeback. So we could have seen him like, oh, now taking over Gotham. I don't know. I just felt like
How great would that have been? Same exact lines,
Same
exact
lines.
scene.
Yeah.
Just Joaquin Phoenix's Joker smoking in his cell.
Smoking a cigarette, yeah.
Isn't it sad or something like that?
Yeah.
You know, like, and then like that would have been epic. You know, like oh god, I would have loved
would
that.
have lost it. I mean,
And-
I was excited. Like, I stood up. I was like, "Is this for real?" Because I heard
Yeah,
his
yeah.
voice, Barry Keoghan. I was like, they're really doing this." I didn't think we were going to get it right
It
away
felt
like
very
this.
tacked on,
Almost like a
reshoot.
reshoot. Yeah.
Because they probably knew, we're probably gonna get more movies. We need Joker. You know, I think it would have been smart if they saved Joker for a third film, but
Yeah.
it was. I'm glad that they're bringing him in because if you're gonna do it, just do it. You know,
Yeah.
don't like just do this little thing. Like go full bore. Let us know he's coming.
I mean, we've seen Joker so many times now. Obviously, it's like Spider-Man and Venom or Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Like, they're so iconic as heroes and villains. But we've seen Oscar-winning performances with Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. Jared Leto never got the fair shot, I felt. This guy better deliver then if we're not going to get Joaquin
He's got a
Phoenix.
lot.
He's got big
shoe.
clown shoes to fill. Yeah. Who brings a gun to a kid's house? Because I even heard people chirping in the theater, like with the scars it looked like. We didn't get a good look. They're like, "Is that Two-Face?" I was like, "Is it?" Because he just said clown. I was like, "It's got to be the Joker."
Yeah,
So I was like, "Wait, what are they doing here?" And then it ended. He was like, obviously teaming up with the Riddler, and they were like, in Arkham. Cool, but I was just like, I felt uncomfortable in it. I was like, I want to be hyped for this. The same way, going back to how we got, here's his card, the Joker card
At the end of Batman Begins,
and I lost it when I saw that.
That's so hot.
This fire. So
Yeah.
like once I saw this, I was like, all right.
Yeah, that's the thing that's happening soon.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this worked for the most part. My grade for this thing is going to be an 8.5.
I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go 8.
Yeah, I'm so underwhelmed that this is how we're feeling about this because we waited
know, yeah.
so long. Like I wanted to be like 10, 10! and I just don't like it. There's enough there for me to like it. I don't love it yet. Like I said, like
After rewatch, my mind could be completely
it could be
changed,
completely
yeah.
different tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll see. But as of right now, upon first viewing, 8.5 for me. 8 for you, you said? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, like I said, not a top 3 Batman movie, but a comfortable 4th or 5th. So excited for the future of it. Hopefully there's more and we see him grow as a character.
What did you guys think about the Batman? Let us know in the comments below.
Also, guys, last chance to enter our Batman giveaway. As of right now, it is March 2nd. It'll be ending on Friday, March 4th. The winner will be announced on Monday, March 7th, and then the prizes will go out after that. You will have to DM us, though, within 2 days, because then we're going to have to give it to a runner-up. In order to enter, go to our Instagram, @TwinTalkBros. There will be a Batman giveaway post with the bat signal. On that post, comment your favorite Batman movie, tag 2 friends, and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be entered to win.
One lucky winner will receive a Batman McFarlane toy, a Batman comic book featuring the Riddler, and an 11x17 art print drawn by yours truly, Chris from Twin Talk. Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below to join the discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you next time. Peace!